Today's video is sponsored by our good friends at Docking Bay 94, located in Boca Raton, Florida. Check us out on comicsandgames.com. As well as Famous Faces and Funnies, located in Melbourne, Florida. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. As well as Ian's Display Accessories, the best for vintage Hasbro and Kenner, Star Wars, and G.I. Joe. Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of Codename New to Bureau 2. Hi, I'm your presenter, Shabu RU. Now, my followers know that when I come in front of the camera, sometimes it's not such a great thing. In this case, we're looking at issue number 3 in the Rob Liefeld Snake Eyes Deadgame story. Now, boy, you talk about starting something with much needed fanfare. That's how this series started. It was, of course, having Rob Liefeld come on board to finally do something. G.I. Joe, the G.I. Joe has just finally started to come back into the popular mindset with the release of the classified figures, the Snake Eyes origin movie, which it has been delayed until next year. But again, a lot of things happening that a lot of us diehard G.I. Joe fans have been waiting for the past few years after the line has been pretty much dormant for a better part of 5, 6, 7 years. So having a name like Rob Liefeld attached to anything is noteworthy, especially the popularity of Deadpool. Liefeld himself saying that Snake Eyes is the inspiration for creating Deadpool. It was basically Snake Eyes doesn't talk, but he's a badass. Deadpool doesn't do anything but talk and is a badass. So I think you could see some comparisons between the two characters to a certain degree. And if you guys have followed my channel, you guys know that, I've been reading comics since the 80s, like a lot of you. And I have a general rule. Any new series, you give it until 3 issues to make a concrete evaluation of where it is and where it could be going. I think we've reached that point with this Deadgame arc, and it's not all good. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like being the bearer of bad news, but the best way I could sum up this is a big clusterfuck. And that's basically how it's just a regurgitation of a whole bunch of things. And you'll see when I recap this issue, and if you go back and look at the other issue 1, issue number 2, well, issue number 3 is basically, I don't know, I have no idea where this is going at this point. And I should be able to. And I don't know where things are coming from or where they're being pulled. Thor, the mythical Thor, is in this. I don't know why. And, it was the first page on issue 1. Thor in the battle between this character, this baddie. I have no idea what it was about still. It's just a big clusterfuck. And I am sorry to report that, but we're going to cover this issue and look at it. And you be the judge and you determine what you think. But I don't want to sway how you feel. But at the same time, I have to be faithful and tell you how I feel about it. So without further ado, let's look at issue number 3 of Deadgame. Here we go. As with every comic recap, we start off with the cover variants. And I start with cover B because I like the fact that it is Snake Eyes wearing this red costume. I thought that was pretty neat. Again, there's only 4, which is great because if you remember issue number 1, there was over 30 cover variants of this. And of course, we have Rob Liefeld with the story and arts and Chad Bower doing the script and dialogue. So Here we go. As with issue 1 and 2, we begin with this epic battle between Kurgan and the mythological Thor. Again, I still have no idea why they are fighting or what the purpose of all this is. But we do get one clue, and Kurgan utters that he's trying to prove it to her. So we'll find out who that her is. And now we jump into present day, where like in issue 2 left off with Snake Eyes captured. As I mentioned at the very beginning of this series, our real American hero fans and those that follow Larry Hama's storylines, this series disregards 95% of that. In the little bubbles right here, we have an inner monologue of Snake Eyes talking about hearing something from the Hardmaster when he was a child. In Raha, Snake Eyes didn't come to the Arashikage clan until after Vietnam, so he was a grown man. In these pages and throughout, you have references of Greek mythology, Japanese mythology, a whole bunch of stuff to the point where you actually feel bad for Snake Eyes for having to go through this storyline, believe me. So Kurgan is standing with his quote-unquote daughter Olympia, whom we were introduced to in the last issue. She claims to be Snake Eyes' teacher. I held out from saying this in the last issue to adhere to my 3-issue rule, but what the heck? I'll give Liefeld credit. He does an excellent job drawing female characters with a combo of this fitness model-like appearance. Olympia tells her father, again, I don't know if it's a biological or a term of endearment, that Snake Eyes is the closest to this age's Hercules. Kurgan responds that Hercules died with tears in his eyes and with the dead sword in his belly. So Liefeld is not only screwing with G.I. Joe mythology, but Greek mythology now as well. Now, after besting Snake Eyes, he doesn't believe he is the one to finish this dead game, but out of respect to his daughter, he will give him this opportunity to redeem himself. At this point, I ask, is the quest after this dead game or this dead sword? You're probably asking, why does Snake Eyes have a red uniform? Well, in last issue, while fighting, his uniform was torn, but Liefeld has it as if the red uniform was under his black one? Who does that? We learned that the she whom Kurgan was referring to in his battle with Thor in the beginning was the death goddess Izanami. Izanami recruited Kurgan for he was once a great warrior, good at killing, entering a war he could not escape. The goddess came to him to inform that his family has perished and offered to bring them back if he played her dead game and become her executioner. She bestowed onto him an unbreakable sword, this death sword. Here is what I don't get. Because he was so good at carrying out his job, the goddess broke her promise to Kurgan, and Kurgan went off to slay gods to get this goddess's attention. Are you following me? Here is what I think Thor comes in. The other gods took this death sword away from Kurgan and hid it from him. They also placed safeguards to prevent him from being reunited with it. So the last safeguard is this huge-ass snake. Goregon, I can't even pronounce that, fuck it. So, with his hands bound, Snake Eyes has to go up against this giant cobra. The irony of the fact that it's a cobra. So for Kurgan to pit Snake Eyes against this obstacle the gods have placed to prevent him from getting the sword shows what little confidence in Snake Eyes to prevail. But this version of Snake Eyes jumps right at the big snake, maybe to escape this crazy-ass storyline. We see Storm Shadow, who made his first appearance during last issue, watching all that is transpiring. Stormy is here to investigate all the missing Arashikage ninjas that turned up in Norway from issue number 1, and has come to aid Snake Eyes in stopping this Kurgan character. Again, the artwork is amazing, and Storm Shadow just looks great. The funny part is the first thing Stormy comments on is Snake Eyes' red uniform. Kurgan is pissed and asks, "Who is this?" Which Olympia recalls, it is the disgraced one, Storm Shadow. Again, we know from a real American hero that that is not the case, as it was Zartan's arrow that killed the Hardmaster. Like a Bugs Bunny cartoon, Snake Eyes is holding up the jaws of this snake to keep it from chomping down on him. I think that's ridiculous. Seeing his sword brother, Snake Eyes kicks it into high gear as both work together to subdue or confuse the giant serpent when they notice he is guarding the death sword, thinking that once the sword is possessed, it will cause some kind of reaction from the snake, but they have to get to it first. And finally, we see Snake Eyes finally grabbing a hold of the sword and going towards Kurgan. Kurgan acknowledges that they have done what he could not in subduing the serpent and freeing the sword. And just as Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow are making their way, we have Olympia cutting off Snake Eyes and knocking him down while Storm Shadow engages Kurgan. Again, we see why Liefeld excels in these action sequences and why X Factor New Moons were such hits. I mean, they are really beautifully done. Olympia going against Snake Eyes has a sense of, sexy yet strong. And then we have Storm Shadow versus Kurgan. And his inner monologue is like, Kurgan is like, oh, I hear you're the killer of masters. And he's like, oh, I'll show you that. And at the same time, his inner monologue is like, this guy is a beast. Like, he has to bring out his A game in order to defeat him. So we have like Snake Eyes battling for the fact that so many Arashikage fell at Kurgan's summoning, and he kind of disgraced the ninja clan. And Kurgan kind of is like, they died willingly, and so will you. And he's like, no. I mean, I don't know what to say. And the battle pretty much continues. Now, when it looks like Kurgan's getting the upper hand, suddenly Bullet Man, a character that appeared in 1941 Fawcett comics, appears out of freaking nowhere to start pummeling Kurgan. And you see that he finally is able to get the sword, and he's reunited with the sword. Just then, the G.I. Joe team, along with Bullet Man and a guy who looks like Cyclops in that far left corner, show up. I don't know what the hell is going on. I am totally confused. And then we see next week's preview, and freaking Snake Eyes is holding Mjolnir, Thor's hammer. So what the hell is going on here? I mean, anyway, I don't want to hate on this, and like I said, I'm sticking with my 3 comic rule, but at the same time, this is a big clusterfuck. And I don't know, write down in the comments below what you guys think of this and how is it progressing so far. Well, this is Shabu Are You with another comic recap. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode of Codename YouTube Hero 2. Have a good one.